Hello everyone and welcome to what's more Diablo 3, and today we are going to look Barbarian build that I made, and I would say that this build is kind of how would I say, one trick pony build, but still I have found it quite funny and works quite well with the bigger groups. So difference between some of my previous builds, I would think that this one might even work if you are working with group with other people, and you can get high enough damage, so it might even work with some of those speed runners who just want to get the enemies down fast and get the loot and get out. But yes, let's go see the build itself. As primary attack, we have Frenzy with the Maniac, Rune. And this is something that I mainly use with if there is only one target that I'm facing, and for me, I think this is quite nice and works very well. And why I took Maniac is because every frenzy effect gives you a little bit more damage, so you get the target down a little bit faster. And other reason why I have frenzy in here is because I think this build works quite well with the two-handed weapon or dual wielding. So in both cases, I think that the frenzy is the best option, especially if you're using it just a single target fighting. But yeah, that's the main reasoning for frenzy. Oops. And next we have the Whirlwind, that is the star in this build. And we have also taken the Shear rune, and for me that is that I gain fury all the time, so I can have my fury full all the time. And the reason for that I'm going to show you a little bit later. But if you have some other way to keep your fury pool full, other options that I think here could be volcanic eruption, that gives you a little bit more damage, or if you're worried about your health and you have high critical hit chance, then blood funnel can also be quite nice. But yeah, those are the good options that I think. Also maybe Hurricane could be quite nice because it pulls enemies. Or maybe not. I did misread that. Yeah. Yeah, we don't want enemies go away from you. And that's the reason why we have Grand Stomp with the wrenching smash that pulls enemies closer to you, so that you have all the time more targets to hit with your Whirlwind. And yeah, that's the main reason why we have Grand Stomp and with wrenching smash. In this case, I don't see any other runes would give you anything more than, or anything better than this. And then we have Earthquake with the Cave In rune, and this also pulls enemies towards you, so you can get them closer to you, so that you can hit them easier with your Whirlwind. This skill is something that I use mainly with the champion packs, because it also gives quite nice high damage to the enemies, so I can pull them closer to me, then I stun them, and same time when I'm hitting them with the Whirlwind, also the Earthquake is doing some damage to the enemies. So yeah, I find that quite good, or at least it has worked for me so far in this build. Next we have Warcry with the Invigorate rune, and well, for this the main reason is to get a little bit more survivability by getting a little bit more armor, and with this rune we also get a little bit life generation. So, and that was one of the things that in the beginning when I was starting to work this build, I had a little bit problems to how to keep my Barbarian alive, but this has helped quite nicely so far, and this is something that you can also keep up all the time, or at least that's something that I'm focusing to do, that I try to keep this up all the time. So, and last we have the Wrath of the Berserker, and this is also with a little bit more like for the boss fights or with the champion packs, that just you get a little bit that extra damage, and that's why I also have the Insanity rune that increases my damage with the 50%. But again, if you're a bit worried about your health, then also Thrive on Chaos could be also nice, because it gives life per fury spent, and if you use the Berserker skill and then spin all the time with the Whirlwind, then I would say that the life gain can be quite nice. So, but for me, I like the Insanity. It's something that it also goes nice when you're fighting with boss and you just use Frenzy, so that does even more damage. And no, it's just giving you something a little bit extra. And next, let's go to the passive skills, and first one we have the Berserker Rage. You deal more damage when you're near maximum fury, and this is the reason that I'm having the Shear in rune in my Whirlwind, so that I can get all the time more fury. And with this build so far, I have seen that I'm capable of staying full or almost full fury when I'm attacking, well, let's say 3 or more enemies. With single target, I would say that Wind Fury isn't that good, because you start to lose your wrath quite quickly, and in that case the Wind Shear doesn't really give enough to fury to keep yourself near maximum fury. Next I have Tough as Nails, and this is mainly to give me a little bit more extra armor and a little bit extra damage for thorns. But in here I would say that another thing that you could take if you don't really have much thorns damage in your gear, I would go just Nerve of Steel, that just gives you armor based on your vitality. And mainly I think this even could be the better option to go. So yeah, let's change it. I think it's good to have a little bit more armor, so that you can stay alive a little bit better. Then we have Unforgiving, that makes that we doesn't lose fury over time anymore, and instead we are even have a little bit fury generation all the time. So this also helps us to keep the maximum fury, so that we get this 25% additional damage from this passive. So yeah, that's mainly the reason for this one. At last we have Bloodthirst, that is just meant to give us a little bit healing. And since we're all most of the time just spinning around with Whirlwind, then this works quite nicely, and we get quite good healing, and especially when we're fighting with several targets. So I haven't had really that much problems to staying alive, especially with just basic enemies. So yeah, that was the build, and next let's go watch some gameplay. Okay, so like in the previous video, I thought that it would be nice to look the gameplay in the Rift, and don't really know if it's the best way, but I think in here is a bit more enemies, and you can see a bit more the kind of harder enemies, so it's easier to see all the skills in use in this way than just running around and doing some bounties. But and otherwise, I think that I don't know, guys. What do you think? Do you spend more time going through rifts, or do you still do some bounty hunting, or is it more like that? You spend a few moments for quickly running the bounties, and then you run rifts. One thing, if I would a little bit talk about this build, that these champion traits that they have, that which one are the could cause you some problems. I would say that there are a few ones that could kind of shut down this build. Well, not really shut down, but things that you need to concentrate a little bit more. And one of them is the frozen that you can see here. So you really need to get away from those frozen orbs that you don't froze still. Unless you're in the Berserker mode, then it's possible to just stay there, but otherwise you can guess you froze. So another one that I've seen that might cause a little bit problems is the jailer. Even it makes you stand still, and even if you can make the basic attacks or stuff like that, but you cannot do the whirlwind during that. So that's something that might cause a little bit problems, and depending what other skills the champions has, but still I would say that for me the Waller is always has been the most annoying skill that the champions has, and it doesn't really cause that much problem with this build, but it still makes them moving a little bit harder. Because one thing that I found quite good with this build is that when you're doing a whirlwind, you can so easily, it's so much easier to move around, because you can basically go through enemies and while you're spinning, and if you So it's not really that much a problem if you get stuck in the middle of bigger enemy group, because you know that you can get away from it, and that way trying to avoid some of the hard hitting attacks that some of the enemies make. So that is also one reason why I kind of like this build. Is it gives you some a little bit more mobility than others. Then you don't really have to fear the situations where you go middle of the enemy group and fighting. So okay, so here we see the waller enemies, and I don't know, with them it's a little bit depends that where do they drop the wall, that how much does it cause problems for you, but still I would say that it's not really that much problem, because if the enemies stay quite close to the wall, you can still hit them through the wall. So and one thing that is different in this video, that for my previous videos, that you can see that this time I'm using different follower. I'm having the Enchantress with me, and well, I say there's any big reason why I'm having her. I just want to a little bit try something else, and she also has that skill that gives a little bit attack speed boost, so I just want to try out that too. But still, I would say that if you're worried about the health, then it's always best option to have the Templar, since he has the life generation skills, and he has heal, and if needed you can make him quite tank character, and like you might once in a while see that you still sometimes forget to use that war cry to keep it on all the time, but still I would say that that is something that I would try to focus to keeping it on all the time, so that you can have that little bit extra armor, and also for some situations you get the life generation also. And if I didn't say it in the beginning of the video, this time also I'm playing the Torment 1 difficulty, and main reason why I'm using this one again is I just want to show you a little bit faster gameplay. So yeah, there's nothing else reason for that. I also tried this build in the higher tournaments, and so far it has worked well for me. So I would say that the only thing that I really need to do for getting maybe work a little bit better is to just optimize a little bit my gear, trying to find better gems, and also maybe at this point start to look for gear that gives bonus for the skills that I'm using, or at least there would be option to change the stats with the enchanting station, but and I also would say that that's the thing that what I'm mainly these days doing with this Barbarian character, and this is also the build that I have been playing the past few days a lot, so I would say that I'm quite enjoying this one now. Like I earlier said, that I would myself say that this is build that you can use both with the two-handed weapon or dual wielding, and I haven't tried out this both ways, and would say that this works just fine with the both ways, so don't really see any reason why you couldn't use the weapons that you like. And like you have seen a few times already in this video, when I faced these killer enemies, takes off that my Whirlwind, so that I cannot use it, and I would say it's not really a problem when you're fighting with the single target, but since this is quite group heavy or AoE heavy build, then those cases it can be a little bit challenging, but still not really a problem. It's just makes you take a little break for your Whirlwind, but
still recharging.
But I think we'll make cut in here, and next I'll be showing you with the boss fight in here. Okay, so now it's the boss time, and let's see how tricky this is. We have some extra enemies also there, but yeah, doesn't really. But in here, like you can see, with single target, I think that the frenzy is quite nice option. It might start with a little bit slow, but the hitting, but when you get the stack 5, even with the two-hander, I would say it makes quite fast, and it's easy to get the enemy down. But and when you have the Fury pull almost near, then you get also that extra damage. So okay, so lots of stuff, and also I did get some other legendaries. So go back to the town, and we can look them together. kind of interesting stuff I did get. So at the moment I just have been collecting all the trash that I can find, but mainly just salvaging them to materials for if I try to create some weapons. And yeah, okay, that was that kind of. And I think this one might be quite interesting. I might save it for the if I find another dual wielding, since this has the life per fury spent, but yeah, okay, don't really know how good the damage is, but still. Okay, so and all the other stuff that I did get was mainly normal. I think here I did get some plant, but otherwise normal stuff. So yes, but thank you for watching the video, and once again, if you liked what you see here, please press the like button, and if you didn't like, then press the dislike button. And if you feel like them, so sure, you can leave the comments, and if there is some class that you want to see especially about some kind of build, then sure, you can leave comment about that. And if you want to see more Diablo related content, then or any other gaming content, then please subscribe. And yeah, we'll see you the next time. So see ya.